What's going on, guys? It's Big John. It's been a minute since I've recorded a Call of Duty commentary. It's been about 3 weeks, to be exact. But nonetheless, I'm back. We're going to get back at it. So today, the question is, how do I drop out of college and continue to be successful? In today's culture, it's kind of expected that everybody who graduates from high school goes to college, and if you don't go to college, you won't be successful. But that's not true. As somebody who went to college at the age of 18 and dropped out at the age of 20, I can attest that you can succeed even if you decide to drop out of college. As somebody who went to college at the age of 18 and dropped out by the time I was 20, I've got a little bit of expertise to share on this particular topic. Now, this is not a recommendation for everybody to just drop out of college and go get a job. But this is rather advice for somebody who's no longer enamored with the idea of college and doesn't feel like they can make it through. Don't feel hopeless, because you can make it through and it will be okay. So, a little bit of background. When I was 18, I got a full ride scholarship to go to university to play French horn. As nerdy as that sounds, trust me, I'm aware. So my freshman year of college, I went into the music program and attempted to start my career as a music performance professional. Through my first year, I started off pretty confident, but as the year went on, I slowly developed a little bit of doubt as to whether or not this was the right career path for me. And actually, by March of my freshman year, the COVID-19 pandemic started and everything went into the lockdown. I finished out my first year as a music major, and then for my sophomore year, I decided that I did not want to be a music performance major anymore due to the nature of the high-stress job with having to perform well and perform better than others, and I decided I wanted to go into computer science. So for my sophomore year of college, I dropped out of the music program, lost my scholarship, and I went into the computer science program. With classes still being inside of the lockdown, everything was on Zoom. And I didn't realize at the time, but I really needed that social interaction. Without that social interaction, I just no longer had any motivation to continue to study, and I ended up playing Call of Duty 24/7. That was a terrible idea. I ended up flunking most of my classes, and something had to give. I either had to drop out of school and go get a job, or I had to put down the controller and I had to pick up the pen and paper. Without the socialization, though, what gave was school. I no longer had any interest in school, and so I had to go to the workforce because I needed to go make money so that I could sustain my lifestyle. So I dropped out of college and I went and I got an internship. And quite honestly, that internship was awful. And it was not because of the company that I worked for, it was my personal work ethic entirely. For the first 3 months, I showed up 3 days out of the week. And then after that 3 months, I never went back to work. Surprisingly, this company kept me on for 6 months. And the guys I worked with for the first 3 months were fantastic. And I didn't ever see them again for the next 6 months because I just never got up and went to work. So after 6 months of it straggling along, they finally gave me the call and told me that I was let go, and they wished me the best. After this, I got lucky and I ran into an IT director who was looking for a help desk technician. I gave him a very abridged version of how my internship went, which was not true at all, and he told me that he liked my attitude and wanted to give me a job. Now, when I ran into this IT director 3 months after I had lost my internship, I looked at this opportunity in a sense of reflection. I looked at my poor work ethic and I told myself that I could not continue to perform in a manner where I just didn't get up and go to work, because I was never going to succeed and thrive in the corporate American climate if I just stuck my head in the dirt and didn't do anything. So this time, when I had an opportunity to perform well in a work environment, I decided that I was going to put my best foot forward and start learning. As stuff came along, I was going to start watching superiors and learn what they did for their jobs. I was going to learn how to interact with people. I was going to learn how to troubleshoot. And that's exactly what I did for 2 years. I got on the phone and I learned how to talk to people. I learned how to troubleshoot, and I learned how to ask questions that weren't dumb. And that might sound a little funny, but what I mean by that is I didn't just ask questions that were easy. I went and I did my research. If I had a question, I asked Google first, and then I would find all the information I could relative to that topic, and then I would go ask a question that meant something, that required a piece of knowledge that I could not have possibly had I not been working with that company for tens or 15s of years, right? And so my questions were very pinpointed, they were very direct, and they made sense. After watching my supervisors, learning through asking detailed questions, and learning skills through experience and observation, I took all those things and I put them on my tool belt, and I was able to navigate them into a higher position at another company. Now, I am making just as much as somebody who went into school and got a college degree would make if they were fresh out of college. And I'm 23 years old, which is the average age to finish your 4-year degree and go straight into the workforce. So having dropped out at 20, by the time I'm 23, I'm making just as much as somebody with a degree would straight out of school. Editing Big John here. I also wanted to throw in that because I started at the bottom of the totem pole, I also have 3+ years experience more than somebody who went to college to get a degree before entering the workforce. So that is a plus that you do get if you decide to drop out of college and go into the workforce, but that doesn't make it any easier, I promise. So while going to college is difficult, having to put your nose to the ground and start at the bottom of the totem pole is also difficult. So the answer to this question is simple, yet it is still difficult to deal with, and that is that dropping out of college does not make anything easy, but also staying in college does not make anything easy. So that means that you just have to pick your hard, because life is hard. So if you're going to drop out of school and go into the workforce, you've got to understand that it's going to be difficult, but you can't stop learning and you can't stop working if you want to be successful. You just have to change the avenue in which you're pursuing your education. When you're in the workforce, you're not learning out of a book and taking a test. You're going and you're doing trial and error and you're troubleshooting with real-world experience, with people that have actual problems, with actual tasks and projects that have to be done, but you don't have the guardrails that come with a controlled environment of school. But school, you have to go and you have to learn information and you have to be able to reciprocate that information to such a high level of intelligence that you pass your tests, that you pass your classes. So it does not make it any less hard, it's just a different path of difficult. More to this, you can think about this in the same sense of life being difficult with being overweight. You can either be overweight or you can be in shape, and both are difficult, because if you're overweight, it is difficult to move. You're sore all the time. Your body is not functioning in the best way possible. But if you stay in shape, you have to be able to put up that fight to go to the gym and to feel better and to better yourself and to lose that weight. And that is also difficult. So life is not about picking the route that's easiest. It's about saying, okay, it doesn't matter which way I'm gonna go. It's gonna be difficult. But what difficult do I want to choose for my life? That's precisely the question you should be asking yourself if you're going to drop out of college in order to go get a job. Are you ready to take on the difficult task of putting your nose to the ground and teaching yourself all of this information via experience? Or do you want to stay in school and go through the struggles of having to learn this information out of a textbook or via a Zoom class and inside of a moderately controlled environment that's dictated based on the success of your grades? So anyway, that's the answer to the question for today. If you have any questions that you'd like to ask, feel free to send them to bigjohn.submissions@yahoo.com, and have a good day. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.